love that they have like two random chicks holding the front door open.
Where's the guys?
We're not even trying anymore. It's not even like, I just mean like they're not even like Secret Service people. It's like the girls who work here are holding the door. Even if it was the guys, it wouldn't even make it better. It's like she's fine. It's just like they might as well put a doorstop in. Like, they put up a doorstop and a scarecrow.
I think he captured the zeitgeist of the evening, Eric.
In the spirit of, dare I say, old school AUS or what have you, this is one of the times that Mark has been working in the background, cooking some things up, and I don't even know what he's come up with. So
I don't even know.
Let's feast. Let's
feast on it. Well, I mean, where do you want to start? There's so much here on the plate. It's hard. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the bullets. I'm going to say some things today that a lot of people have not thought of, and I don't mean that to be arrogant or grandiose at all. I'm just going to say things that came to my mind. First of all, I was watching, let me start off with C-SPAN, because I was watching the event live on C-SPAN, and they covered it like it was a golf match. They go, there seems to be some shots fired, and seems to be a little bit of chaos on the floor. Let's take a look, Bob. And dude, and it was so C-Spanish, if that's a word, as to just, make me crack up just of the coverage of C-SPAN.
Remember Butler Farm when they were like, he seems to have.
Dude, it was so crazy. It was so crazy. Well, I'm going to say things that you might not have heard in other places. If you have heard them, God bless you. I have not heard them. So I'm just going to let it fly. You could take what you need and with these dots and lay them out the way you want. But it's kind of what we do here. Number one, plexiglass across the dais. Plexiglass was installed after Butler to crowds that were friendly. This is a hostile crowd, and there's no plexiglass for some of the most powerful people on the face of the earth. I just want to put that out there. Not talking about seeing them through an image where they're fuzzy and crazy. There's quite good bulletproof glass that they used on January 6th, that they used after Butler, and should have been in place here. That being said, we're moving on. Let's talk about the taking down of the magnetometer. They were already dismantling the magnetometer. The fat bastards who were manning this post were taking it apart when the guy did the bull rush with his shotgun past nothing. Keep in mind, even at airports, they have serpentine, snake-like passages to go through. None of that here. Keep in mind that the magnetometer should have been out on the street. None of that here. They put it all the way deep into the recesses of the ballroom lobby. Okay. He's now, and
it's like on the 1 yard line for a football.
On the 1 yard line. He's now hidden his weapons in a vacuum cleaner closet off of the stairs that he has sussed out because he's been in the hotel for so long, that he's been able to suss out a room that, again, has not been checked by the Secret Service. Let me go back again. The only question I would have asked at that press conference, if I was at that press conference wearing my journalistic hat, would have been, when you checked the room and the guests, did anything turn up unusual? The answer would have been, we never checked the room and the guests. And then my follow-up would have been, why not? Not only did no one ask that question, nobody responded to that question at all. You now have a wide open hotel, people coming and going, could have been Iranian agents booking rooms. Anybody could have booked these rooms. And this kid did book that room. He had relatives in D.C. Who knows if they were co-conspirators. This might be like the Surratt case. Keep in mind that John Wilkes Booth stayed at the National Hotel around the corner. And then he walked over and did his thing at the booth at the Ford Theater. The National Hotel, oddly enough, became the museum building, which was celebrated for First Amendment journalistic rights up until about the time Trump was elected. And then they shut down the building, which I think is still closed.
And now, this is the Hinckley Hotel, or the Hinckley Hilton.
to that in a second. The Park Central Hotel is around the corner. The Park Central Hotel was a hotel where another guy walked over to the side of this building, and that was John Hinckley. When Reagan was coming out, before the legendary Jerry Parr pushed Lincoln into the presidential limousine within a millisecond, Reagan thought that he had broken a rib. He'd actually been shot by John Hinckley. Reagan had come out the side door. Here's Parr on the right, shoving Reagan into the limousine within 3 seconds. This was the Secret Service at their best, even though they did not anticipate the fact that Hinckley was waiting at the side service door of the Hinckley Hilton, also known as the DC Hilton, also the place that the Susie Wiles thought this was a safe place to have an event in a hostile crowd. I can't emphasize this enough. No crowd put together for this president, who's been at friendly rallies his entire presidential career, is more hostile than this crowd. And you could say, well, they're wearing tuxedos. They don't look so hostile. Well, when they started stealing all the liquor, my favorite video was the ambassador to the Ukraine, this blonde bombshell stealing the bottles of liquor as if they were commemorative fucking items to something that went wrong, that she will now have as a commemorative item in her house. That's a side story. Let's get back to the bull run by the guy. He's got a 500 Mossberg shotgun with a converted handle. I've got the same gun. I've got the same handle on it here in LA where he bought it. The reason he doesn't have slugs, he said, was because he was afraid of the damage that slugs would do. You could not buy a slug in California if your life depended on it. You can't even get them shipped in from another planet. So he went with buckshot. Buckshot, as many people know, the kill range probably 0 to 10 yards. You get into 10 to 25 yards. You got a lot of spray patterns with buckshot. That being said, him picking up speed and going through a non-existent checkpoint is the most bizarre thing. You couldn't do this if you were OJ at the National Airport, Eric. You couldn't blow through the checkpoint and do what this guy did. Guns out, guns blazing. Now you're going to get into the shooting arrangement, the shooting arc, the shooting pattern. There's 5 shots. Who shot the 5 shots? They're not going to tell us who the fuck shot the 5 shots. Obviously, it was friendly fire, them crossing over, shooting each other. He didn't discharge his weapon. He's carrying the shotgun, for Christ's sakes. What is he, carrying the shotgun and shooting with his handgun? It's absolutely insane. So he doesn't discharge. What happened? He tripped. The guy tripped. Now, you say, okay, so they jumped on him. They all shot each other. They're missing him at ranges of 3 to 7 feet, Eric. Like, at what point do you hit a guy with a handgun between 3 and 12 feet? Granted, it's a moving target. Granted, the lobby now is basically empty other than them standing around scratching their asses. People have made the analogy to the pilots. There was a famous crash a number of years ago where the pilots were talking about picking up chicks and flirting with the stewardesses, and the plane went down. That led to a ruling that you are no longer on the airwaves or in the cockpit allowed to discuss any matters of social interest, sports, picking up chicks, or anything else in the cockpit any longer. And if you listen to voice-activated black boxes today or cockpit dialogue, there's no more talking about picking up the stewardesses and taking them to drinks. It was quite prevalent when I was growing up. And my father, as people know, we were in the airline business. This was quite common. These guys are still doing this. The uniform Secret Service and the regular Secret Service, not so much from the Uniform Protective Service, but from the Uniform Service and also the Metropolitan Police, as Eric and I saw in Butler, the texting back and forth. Hey, there's a guy on the roof. Take a look, Bobby. What's the Yankee score? Back and forth, back and forth. That has got to be eliminated. Also, what's got to be eliminated is this guy, Sean Curran. He has got to go. We've already gotten rid of Cheadle. That was a disgrace. This guy Curran has got to go. And I recommend that they bring in a military intelligence colonel, and I'm not saying it's got to be a colonel, I'm just picking that at random. We need someone from military intelligence at this point to come in and take over this thing, and until they are fit and ready to be restored as the United States Protective Service. This is an accident that has already had 3 attempts to happen. How many more attempts do we say, oh, well, they did a great job? This insane statement over and over and over again. Well, they didn't kill him, so it was a great job. I mean, all non-essential conversations must go. You've also got feuds between, from what I'm hearing, between the Uniformed Secret Service and the protective branch. So you've got that. And then you've got these principals. Surviving attacks is not protecting the principals. Let me repeat that. Principals surviving attacks is not protecting the principals. They survive by luck, not because you allowed this light-skinned black guy to burst through at the speed of OJ. Let me, again, go into the color of the guy's skin. That's a little outrageous, Mark. How can you say that? Well, the 2016 Washington University study indicated, with 80 cops being tested with virtual reality video, that they hesitated shooting black suspects at a ratio of 200 times more than a white suspect. I suggest to you they froze because of the color of his skin. And this is my opinion. You could take it for what it's worth. Study after study after study, post-2016, has indicated that cops now freeze and or hesitate in shooting a black suspect, especially in a place like Washington, D.C., as opposed to a white suspect. I will
That's
put
the Michael Brown effect, I believe
the Michael Brown effect, it's called. It has a lot of different names, but the study from Washington State University is solid as shit. 80 different cops were tested on virtual reality with video machines and everything else, with realistic video scenarios. The same result: a 200 millisecond suspension when there is a black suspect as opposed to a white suspect. Look, you could take it for what it's worth. It's just part of the thing. There's no bulletproof glass. Now, let's get into the situation with J.D. Vance, because what you saw with J.D. Vance getting yanked out of there versus the time it took for them to yank out Trump, the principal, is outrageous. It is absolutely outrageous. If you look at this guy here on the right, grabbing Vance and yanking him out of there is how it's done. And I put up this, whoever this guy is, and eventually his name will be revealed. This is obviously the head of the protective service for J.D. Vance.
Sure.
Everybody's hiding, and they're doing their thing. This is what happened with Dick Cheney on 9/11 that Dick Cheney talked about in great detail. You are not allowed to have a discussion with your protective service about your views and how you're going to sit there and examine the situation. There is no discussion. There is no discussion. On 2 occasions, Trump has had discussions about the situation with his handlers. This cannot be allowed to continue. Trump admitted he did it again. That's on Trump. That's on Trump. You do not have to and cannot listen to the protectee talking about anything. It doesn't matter what Trump is saying, that he wanted to see how this unfolds. Who gives a shit what Trump wants? Your job is to yank him out of there like this guy is doing with J.D. Vance. This is the routine. The routine with Jerry Parr was exactly the same when he took Reagan and shoved him into that limo after he was shot by Hinckley. Now, we could go back in time again to 1963, where a guy named Clint Hill jumped on the back of a JFK limo. Whatever you think of Clint Hill lying to the Warren Commission afterwards, this is the right move. This was the only guy who did this in that protective service, coming from the limousine in back of the JFK limousine. He did his job. Clint Hill responded like the J.D. Vance protector, and not like the one who was handling Trump. This is insane. Now, getting to what came out just moments ago from the woman who reports on the Secret Service, she is now suggesting, and I've been suggesting, that this has now become an inside job. and I'm talking. I forget the woman's name who we were just talking about before. The reporter who, well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you right now because I wanted to just read this thing to you about what's her name?
Susan Crabtree.
Susan Crabtree. Let me just tell you what's been happening lately with the Secret Service, just so you know what's going on. These are some of the incidents that have occurred in the past year. 2 agents getting into a physical catfight outside the Barack Obama D.C. residence. Agent fell asleep on the job with his fully automatic rifle in public view. Accidental discharge, this is just a couple of weeks ago, right next to Jill Biden, shooting himself in the foot. Female agents guarding Kamala Harris had a mental breakdown. An agent was arrested for sending explicit material to a child. An agent celebrated Charlie Kirk's assassination on Facebook. This is just recent incidents that have happened with the Secret Service. Now, keep in mind, Bobby Kennedy correctly tried to remove the Secret Service from protecting his own brother in the summer of 1963 and trying to replace them with U.S. Marshals and or FBI agents, and actually wrote a bill. This is RFK Jr.'s father, actually wrote himself legislation to remove the Secret Service from protecting the President of the United States and replace it with U.S. Marshals handpicked by him as Attorney General of the United States and or FBI agents, again, handpicked by him as Attorney General of the United States. When his brother was killed, the legislation was personally killed by LBJ, his successor. They would then go before the Warren Commission, they being the Secret Service, and the head of the Secret Service at that point told the Warren Commission that they had suffered enough, that there's no reason in even firing them, despite being drunk on the job, despite being late, despite having no response to a guy's head being blown off right in front of their own eyes. As I said, just Clint Hill responding out of instinct to jump on the back of that Lincoln and try to take care of his protectee, who happened to be Jackie Kennedy, later Jackie Onassis. Now, J.D. Vance, his protector was that guy. His responsibility was J.D. Vance. He completely did his job. These other people, I'm watching Trump. He's like watching a movie going on. I don't know what's going on. His wife looks like she's going to faint. These guys, the mentalist is coming over and showing him tricks on index cards, and he's watching the events unfold. You are the target. You are always the target. It's not an incident out in a lobby. It's people in a lobby trying to get you. And I don't care what Trump thinks about it, that he wants to watch it. He doesn't have that option. Every single president, after they're sworn in, is told this repeatedly by the protective services. We're not here to discuss this with you. We're not going to talk about the weather. We're not going to talk about how you feel, whether your shoes are on, whether you're saying fight, fight, fight. All of that is bullshit. They are coming for this guy. He represents us, not just his own family. That's why they do this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, as an example, for those who are saying, hey, he's the boss, he can take the orders. Does everybody remember how Elon Musk gave Donald Trump a Tesla, but Trump could not drive it because he's not allowed? So even there, in a peaceful environment, he's not allowed to drive a car because he's under protection. So he does have to listen to the Secret Service on these points. That's part of the job. And what they did with Vance was dead on. It was noticeable. I pointed out to Mark that they just grabbed it. He didn't even know what was happening. He was snatched off that.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
And just whisked away like it was a magic trick. That's the way it's supposed to be,
Eric. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Now let's get into this guy who I believe is a meth-using gamer. I know you say, Mark, I play games. I don't use meth. That's up to you, bro. In my world experience out here in California, where this guy came from, with a master's degree in computer science, graduating from Caltech and living in the basement of his parents' house in Torrance with no job. He worked part-time as a tutor teacher for a company that you get spot hired to teach kids who pay through the nose for SATs and other tests. He was unemployed on the computer, working on first-person shooter videos. When you bring knives to an assassination and you run like that, and you come from a computer background and you come from a gamer background, that, my friends, is crystal meth. You're not going to hear this anywhere else but here. You could take it with a grain of salt. I don't want to hear about the fact that you don't use meth, but you love games. Not what I'm talking about. When you see knives and violence and lone people living in a basement doing video games 24/7 without a job for years, and you've got those degrees, now whether he got those through DEI, I assume is possible. His family, it's a multiracial family, blah, blah, blah. They've got various degrees. But I suspect that this guy loves himself some crystal meth.
It could well be.
Yeah. Now, his first-person shooter designer game world fits in with this situation, which is why I'm mentioning it. He graduates from Caltech, I think in 2017, gets a master's in computer science, I think the next year, and he can't get hired anywhere. Now, either those degrees were DEI'd and he graduated last in his class, which is what I presume, based on previous situations similar to this, but the end result is the same. He's in his parents' basement and he's 33 fucking years of age playing video games. He goes to the No Kings rallies. He's part of repeating whatever Ted Lieu says, almost verbatim about Trump, almost word for word. This guy here on the ground was overheating. They put that tinfoil blanket on him because of crystal meth. Put that into your hopper. He sounds like a meth guy. He moves like him. He might have been okay here, but that was 7 years ago. So I don't know what happened to him afterwards, but I think
this is last year as a teacher. It's class of 2025, so he is as a teacher at the graduation. Sorry.
Well, anyway, this company that he worked for is a company that hires you for specific assignments as a tutor. He's not a teacher. In other words, he tutors people. It's a company that only does tutoring for tests. So the teacher of the month thing is kind of a misnomer because he was hired to tutor kids, and it's a part-time job. I just wanted to get that out there. But anyway, the fact of the matter is you've got a lot of people saying they're incompetent, the Secret Service, but you begin to look at this thing, and it doesn't matter if they're incompetent or not, Eric. This thing is 3 strikes and you're out. This is now 3 strikes against Trump. And at some point, you just have to bring in the military to guard this guy. First of all, you can't go into. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'd say it's actually 5 strikes. It's just that 2 other ones weren't publicized. They are the Iranians. People have been locked up. So, yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the thing at Mar-a-Lago at the golf course. 4 or 5 shots fired by the Secret Service of a stationary target in the bushes, missing every single shot. Let's take a look at this one. 5 shots fired, missing every single shot. This guy should have been riddled with bullets, and not one of them hit this guy. He tripped over his own feet, and that's when they pounced on him afterwards. This is a human embarrassment. Person after person after person saying there was no security, the magnetometer not being out on the street. When the president goes to a foreign country and stays in a hotel in a foreign country, the magnetometers are out on the street. Why would they not be out on the street in your own hostile environment here? Why would you put them all the way in the belly of the beast when in foreign countries, the Secret Service protocol, even in England, is to put them out onto the street to prevent that? Now, that being said, people are just coming in and out of the hotel with their key to the hotel, the door, which could have been any Hilton hotel. It is a complete, I am so fucking over them saying they did a great job. You got to, this is on Trump too.
The Todd Blanche press conference.
Yeah, the Todd Blanche. Everyone did a wonderful job. Fuck you. You suck. That's the reality of your job. This guy Curran has to resign or fire him. Susie Wiles has to go. She is a 75-year-old grandmother with breast cancer. When is it enough with this administration? Get her the fuck out of here. love the lady, let her go back to her grandchildren in Florida. This job is way too important to us. I don't give a shit what they think they're doing over there. There's a vested interest in the people that voted for this guy that needs this administration protected. That being said, who the hell brings the top 7 in the line of succession to be in one building that's unprotected, Eric? 7 in the line of succession in the same building. You could have had 5 Iranians in there going crazy. You know, people don't.
You don't even need that. Can I point something out? Because I was talking to Nate about it, how, he got by with a shotgun, right? And I was like, what if he had grenades? And then Nate corrected me. He said, what if he was wearing a vest with a bomb?
Look, I can only
that would have been enough to take it all out.
I can only point to the Bataclan killing by ISIS in Paris that took out 90 Parisians with 3 guys in a theater, to bounce off of what Eric was saying, and also the Boulevard, which was on the Boulevard Voltaire in the 11th arrondissement. ISIS killed 130 people in Paris. That was 2015, Eric. That was 2015. The idea that they have disappeared while we're in a conflict with Iran is preposterous. Preposterous. This is a wide open fucking public hotel, and we're supposed to just cross our fingers and hope that nobody gets in there. I mean, it is outrageous. They
also,
don't want to quit. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
As far as the target goes,
yeah.
Could you have a more perfect target? You have all the top people in the press right there to witness it. You would have, and nobody cares about reporters more than reporters. Right. So if they got hurt too, this would be amplified to the front of every page, every newscast, every single thing in the world in terms of a terrorist or a cell. This is a dream spot.
It's a dream spot, and you're not allowed to blame Susie Wiles because she's only the chief of staff. You're not allowed to blame the protective services because they're only the protective services. You're not allowed to blame anybody. That's the way we're supposed to accept this. We're supposed to accept this happening over and over and over again. We're not supposed to learn the motives of these people. We're not supposed to do a deep dive into the assassins. They're just supposed to be convicted and put away into the dark of night. And we don't know what their role is in terms of their families and others who may be co-conspirators in this. We have no idea. We're just taking their word for it. MSNBC says it's a perfectly nice family. We're supposed to accept that. Matthew Crooks, perfectly nice family. They all lawyer up. I mean, the guy, Ruth, perfectly nice family. I mean, nobody seems to do a fucking thing about this. And it's just an accident waiting to happen. And it seems like everybody's in on it. Seems like the Secret Service. Look, it only took about 5 guys in the Kennedy assassination in the protective service to pull it off. And we can maybe get Vince back in a couple of weeks to talk about it. But you don't need the entire Secret Service, schmucks. You just need a handful of them within it to make these things happen. And we saw that with JFK, how they only had about 5, 6, 7 guys. But you don't need more than that in positions of power and authority within the organization.
Yeah. And
what you need is a tight, small Praetorian guard that surrounds you every fucking waking minute in public. This guy's out there with a mentalist on a podium. There's 2,500 people in that audience with no bad checks and no metal detector checks. I mean, anybody could have had anything in their bag and thrown it at the dais, Eric. Anybody. A guy having a bad day could have done it.
It's embarrassing, too, when you have this headline of Hinckley actually talking about it, saying,
right. I had more security to do it.
What a spooky. I'm like, are you kidding? Of course, the Guardian would go seek him out for a comment.
Yeah, for a comment, of course. Let's get comments from previous assassins and compare it to the current situation. I mean, this has to be taken over right now by a small military unit, whether it's Green Berets, but it's got to be a tight, small unit with a military intelligence colonel, somebody with a ranking position in military intelligence for a temporary situation until and when they feel comfortable with the Secret Service, Protective Service. It has to be put back under the Treasury Department.
I hate to say it, it normally wouldn't, but there is another place that you can get support, and that's the CIA, who also does protective services, especially internationally.
Well, that's another option. Keep in mind, Department of Homeland Security tried to send someone in there to the chief of staff of the DHS, tried to send in someone to oversee the Secret Service and was rebuffed through a phone call from Curran to Susie Wiles, who rebuffed the Department of Homeland Security from taking over. And that was only a couple of weeks ago. You're never going to find out how many people in the Protective Service hate Trump's guts. You're never going to find out how many in the Department of Homeland Security hate his guts. You're never going to find out. You got guys betting on betting markets that we wouldn't get, or you get Maduro so he could make $400,000 in betting markets. I mean, this is a sieve. You're never going to clean them all out in 3 years. So you have to focus on protecting the chief of state. I mean, the head guy. And you saw it with Vance. Vance should not even have been there, for Christ's sakes. Why does J.D. Vance, the successor in the line of succession, have to be sitting on the same day as one grenade could have taken out the top elements of the United States government, for Christ's sakes?
Yeah, and I don't think vice presidents typically attend this event.
No, never. I mean, how about just having a checkpoint? How about, regardless of where you put the fucking checkpoint, how about having a couple of tables and the magnetometer and some guys standing there physically blocking the hole in the defense that a running back could run through, like Refrigerator Perry? How about having the tables, walls, magnetometer, bodies, a fence, anything? They decided, let's let everybody roll through here. I mean, it is unfucking believable. I mean, they refused to check the windows during the JFK assassinations in Dallas. They've refused to do it. They did it in Tampa. They did it in Chicago. They just said, we're busy. We're not going to do it in Dallas. And that's put down as being, incompetent. Incompetent is the cover story to a conspiracy. That's what incompetence is. It's the next layer to protect the conspirators, is incompetence. Every time I hear the word incompetence regarding the Secret Service, my mind hears conspiracy.
I agree. I definitely agree.
I mean, it's 161 years ago this year since Lincoln was killed by John Wilkes Booth on April 14th, 1865. And yet we still have not figured out how to protect the presidents of the United States. It's just insane. It's just insane.
I agree. And, you were mentioning previous incidents in recent years. I stumbled across one earlier that I completely slipped by me. I did not even realize this one had happened. 2011 White House shooting. Somebody sent it to me. Have you heard about that one? Where 7 bullets actually entered into the White House.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of these little ones.
They didn't know about it for a few days.
Yeah. There's a bunch. What about the guy who got in with his knife and he was in the lobby of the White House, who went right into the open door? I mean, how about that guy? Was that the one that Rogan has as part of his routine that overpowered the female agent or whatever that got in, or is this another one? No. This is a guy who literally went all the way into the front door of the White House, was heading up the stairs with knives, and encountered nobody. There was nobody to encounter. I mean, this is absolutely crazy. And it's got to change now. I mean, there's got to be some emergency thing. This bullshit story that they're meeting with Susie Wiles, they just keep responding to pressure. They respond to media pressure and they hope it goes away. You know why? Because Sean Curran is a good guy. He's a very good guy. It's like taking a beat cop and making him the chief of police because he was there when there was an incident. This guy was
Well, I was going to say, I have to point out the guy who did make him chief of police is his protectee.
It doesn't matter. That's what I'm trying to tell you in this rant. Fuck what Trump thinks. I don't mean that, fuck Trump. It's not relevant. It's just not relevant. Just because the beat cop was the guy that saved your wife, you don't make him the chief of police. That's what he did in essence. He was the guy there holding him up and not taking him to the ground, not dragging him out, taking minutes after minutes after minutes to get him out of Butler, Pennsylvania. And that guy is named the head of Secret Service. He doesn't have the administrative background to do it. He doesn't. He might be the greatest guy in the world. It's meaningless, Eric.
No,
It's
I agree.
meaningless. Yeah.
But I'm saying that Trump does share a little bit of blame. Again, his hiring practices, which we
Right.
talked about. And
Right. Again, but we have practices and we have needs as guys and women who voted for him to keep him alive. He's not the only decider. Let me put it this way. If he was getting drunk and naked and running out in the street, would everybody say, all right, well, it's up to him. He's the commander in chief. Or would you throw a blanket on him and put him in a car? Give me a break.
all right.